Welcome to the All Recovery Talk podcast, where we talk all things recovery and substance use related. We're your hosts. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Jennifer. This podcast was created for people in recovery, people with substance use disorders, allies of recovery, and everything in between.
Both Jennifer and I are in long-term recovery and work at the only nationally recognized recovery community organization in North Dakota.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
No part 2, by the way, for anybody that was wondering.
Not yet.
No,
Anyway,
no.
we got to get Ashley in here to do that.
Yeah, Ashley's busy at the moment, so.
Yeah. So, today.
Speaking of Ashley.
Oh, go ahead.
She did graduate Peer Sport Training.
Woohoo.
Woo woo.
So, she will be on her way.
Mm-hmm.
Being a peer recovery support specialist.
Yes. So, Jennifer, what is today's topic?
I don't know. I was thinking activities.
Activities?
Like recovery activities, how to do activities in recovery. I know we did it last year, but I feel like it's an important topic as summertime things start coming up again.
Activities, huh?
Yeah, like weren't we just talking about, I forget what it was. Someone who had I remember. Like things like fishing. You know, a lot of people associate drinking and fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were talking about it
Yep.
in a different context.
Oh,
but,
speaking of that, I need to call that individual.
but it, when you have those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Every time I've ever gone fishing, I drank. Every time I ever went to a concert, I drank. Every time I did this, I was high. Every time I did that, I was high.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's an important thing to talk about as summertime comes because for us in North Dakota, activities mostly happen in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Okay, sorry, we're back.
So, you don't have to say we're back when you stop recording. Nobody knows we were gone.
Oh.
But it's fine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so activities.
Mm-hmm.
You may have more experience in the summertime activities kind of thing outside of recovery time than I do. Like my time using was pretty much just in New York, right? So I was going to clubs and stuff. You can do that any time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And or just sitting in my apartment. You know, there weren't that many activities.
Yeah.
But you're the kind of person that like has gone fishing or something, right? Maybe not fishing specifically.
No, actually, I have not been fishing since I've gotten clean.
Really?
Nope.
Is there a reason for that?
Just haven't gone fishing.
What about like golfing?
Um,
You talk
I
about
think-
golfing. I've never once seen you go golfing.
I think I've gone golfing once since I've been clean.
And for you, does that have anything to do with not with being in recovery? Like, is it?
No, not per se. Like, I've found other things to do. Like, would I rather go golfing or would I rather go to the racetrack? Would I rather work on a car or chase a stupid little white ball around 19 different directions at a golf course?
Okay, but we need to stop there because this race car thing is fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
When we got together 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
when you had 2 years clean already,
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult for me to get you to come to watch the races.
Yep, that checks out.
It was like pulling teeth.
Yes, that does track.
So there were at least 3 years of your recovery, if not longer, I don't know exactly, where the race car thing wasn't a thing.
So mainly summer activities early in recovery. Well, I mean for the first year of being clean, once I got in a job, summertime I slept during the day because I had a night job.
Right.
So I didn't do shit during the summer. It didn't matter if it was summer, if it was winter. like I worked nights, so more often than not, I was sleeping during the day. There's days that I'd be up, but then I'm mowing the lawn or hanging out with friends. Um, so that first year and a half, I really didn't really do much, during the summer other than recovery related events.
Yeah, cuz you are really big into going to the like 12-step events and activities and stuff.
Oh yes,
That's
yes,
been
yes.
a thing
It's
that
been a
you've been.
staple in my recovery
Yeah.
during the summer. So, I mean, you know, summer activities um, is something that is it's not really summer activities as much as it is activities. Like my winter activities of playing pool would sometimes boil over into summer because then I go to some tournaments during the summer and things like that. So, it's not necessarily that I had, you know, seasonal um activities, you know, be,
Okay.
so,
Fair.
per se. Um
So, when you were earlier in recovery, did you kind of stop doing those things? Like, were you still on a pool league team, whatever?
yeah, yeah, I started playing pool league again once I got clean.
Okay.
I wasn't I'd somewhat continued to play sort of when I was in active addiction, but not really. The last couple of years of active addiction, it was pretty much just like I was getting in trouble. I couldn't go to the bar, because of probation and stuff like that, so I couldn't be on a pool league.
I suppose, and I suppose that that's true for a lot of us.
Mhm.
Toward the end of addiction, we just kind of stop doing things
Yeah. Yeah,
for
my main
whatever
focus
reason.
was using drugs.
Yeah. So once you got clean
Mhm.
and got into doing more, what was it? Is it difficult to do those same activities that used to revolve around using and drinking?
For me, no. For me, no, like pool per se. So like pool when I was in active addiction, I thought I was amazing, especially when I was drunk, this
Of
is like
course.
I'm an amazing shot, man, like
I
just
think that's anyone who
yeah.
plays pool once they start
Yeah,
drinking.
like it's just like I came to realize once I got clean and I started playing again, the fact that damn, I wasn't as good as I thought I was, for one,
Crazy.
but for two, like I noticed I became better once I got clean because I could focus on actually playing pool instead of, you know, getting fucked up.
Insane.
Yeah, and like I love playing pool. That's one of my main passions was playing pool. So when I got clean, before I got clean, I lost interest because can't
Mhm.
smoke drugs while you're at a bar playing pool.
Mhm.
Um, so once I got clean and I started playing again, I, I I could notice the focus that I had. I could see, you know, that I needed practice. And
Mhm.
I put a lot of time into that when I first got clean. I was at the pool hall all the time, any chance I could get, and now it's just I've gotten to a point when it comes to pool that I play the men's moose league with the old guys, which on 9 foot tables, which is it's an amazing time. We just have
You
fun.
say with the old guys as if you're not in that category.
I'm not.
Mm.
I'm the third youngest person in that whole building.
Oh.
Which is crazy. Like at almost 40 years old, I'm the third youngest guy
Yep. Yep.
in the league.
Uh-huh.
You know, because most of the guys that I play with are in their 50s, 60s. There's a guy all the way up. He's 90. This year he'd be 93. Yeah, 93 years old, and he's
Hmm.
still shooting them in like he's Efren Reyes, man. He's he's good shit, Don. Um, but like to where it's just like I have fun in that environment, because
Mhm.
it isn't all they're not worried about getting messed up.
Right.
They drink, yes, but these guys are just there to have fun.
Right.
Like playing in the other league that I sub for sometimes, it's just like everybody's all like super competitive and like, it's pretty much just a rivalry every week. versus, down at Moose League, everybody's like, good shot, man. That was amazing, like love watching that, like we don't really care, it's pretty much a fun league. Um,
So it's that kind of goes back to what we've talked about a lot, who you surround yourself with.
yeah. Yeah, like these guys are, there's some people that drink, there's some people that, when they come, they order a pitcher of water. And they sit there and drink their water every single week, it's an environment where they're not like, Kevin, you want a shot? Hey, I'll buy you a beer, or they know that I don't drink, and they don't continue to continuously ask me.
Right.
Like going to the bar, normal bars where people see you and be like, hey man, you want a shot? Want a drink? Buy you something? It's just like, no, I don't drink, man. And it's just a consistent thing that it keeps continually happens. So activities for me, like golfing, fuck, I loved golfing. I was actively using, and I golf every day, and to the point where like I got a job at a golf course at one point just so I could golf for free. that's the type of person Kevin is. It's like, wait a second, I can golf at your golf course for free if I work here? Yeah. Can I get a job? Like that's the way I was, like, and I mean, I don't mind golfing. I don't, like, but it's just it's I've found more enjoyable things to do.
So for you, it's not that it's because it was tied to drinking
No.
or using.
No, I don't have any issue with that.
It's just because it's not on your radar anymore.
Mm-mm. Yeah, the dopamine rush is not there.
So how about other things? I'm trying to think of other summer activity type things. Maybe you didn't do many activities. I don't know.
No, not really. Not summer activities. Like, I mean,
Because you weren't much of a camper.
no. Like when I was younger,
And nor was I.
like when I was younger, my parents would take us out to the lake,
Right,
on
that's
the weekend
like a
or
family
something.
thing, not
Yeah,
a...
but it wasn't, like, I mean, in active addiction, there'd be times where we go out to Rice Lake for a weekend or something like that, and camp and just get fucked up all weekend long.
Right.
Pass out completely hammered in a tent, that it now
Uh-huh.
rainstormed and you wake up soaking wet and hungover.
Yeah.
That was always fun.
Yeah.
That was always fun. But for the most part, no. Like if it was an activity, there was something with substance use tied behind it.
Okay.
So now that I'm clean, a lot of people that I've talked to are like, I can't do that because I used to do that while I was using. And for me, it doesn't equate to that now that I'm clean. Like,
I beg to differ. Some things that you've mentioned, and the reason that I came up with this topic, are you tend to think things are tied together. Maybe not in your life, and maybe it's you making assumptions because that happens sometimes.
I mean, and sometimes I assume.
But I mean, it's interesting because there are these like two different mindsets, right? Like I can do anything
Yep.
that I did while I was using while clean,
Mm-hmm.
except for the using part,
Mm-hmm.
or the avoid the people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And those might be, especially when you live in a small-ish town,
Mm-hmm.
the people, places, and things don't really change.
No. I mean, that's so. There's two different aspects to it. Like the activity, like there's only certain places you can do said activity. Like playing pool. It's either at a pool hall or at a bar, unless you own your own pool table.
Right.
So it's the people, places, and things. The same people that aren't clean going to be at those places doing the same
Mhm.
things. But I can go to those places and do those things and semi deal with the people, but just not use while I'm doing it. Because I come from it, I now go into that knowing that I'm probably going to have to deal with drunk people. I'm probably going to have to deal with people asking me if I want to drink
Mm-hmm.
because I'm at these places doing these things, but I can say no.
Mm-hmm.
you know. And my main thing when people ask me if I want to drink is that I tell them, no, I really don't want the cops here,
Mm-hmm.
which always comes up with a follow up question: why the fuck would the cops show up? And it's like, well, you don't want to find out. Like, if I drink, the cops will be here. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to see that. It's not a good time. It's not a good picture. You know. So and they're just like, oh, you know, they get it. Then they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, don't ask this guy if he wants to drink
Yeah.
again. Fuck, you know, no, we don't need the cops here. You know, so it's, you know, there's some people that are able to do that, and then some people that aren't.
Right.
You know.
And I think too, some people have found success in the, like, say pool is a big thing that you really like to do no matter what, taking other people in recovery with you.
Yeah, that's well, and so like we'd go play pool, you know, as part of fellowship. You know, we'd go down to the pool hall and we'd shoot pool, or we'd go gamble, or
Or
you
play
know,
darts.
yeah, you
or-
know, like things that people couldn't do alone, but when we go in a group, it's easier for them.
Right.
You know, like people that would not go anywhere near, they went 500-foot pole and to touch the front door, but yet the fact that they're with a group of people in recovery, they feel safer to go in because they have accountability buddies.
Right.
You know, so I mean, summer activities, you know, when it comes to things like that, it's just like for me, I have that knowledge that if I'm not feeling okay with doing something because of a thought process like that, that I'll probably feel much safer when I have a group of people that are like minded to help me through that.
Right. Cuz it's I also think if we have that thought process that
Mhm.
we're afraid or don't know what's going to happen or whatever. First of all, if you don't know what's going to happen, you probably know what's going to happen.
Yeah, pretty much.
If you go into it knowing I am not going to pick up, then
Yeah.
it's pretty simple to not pick up.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
Mhm.
But that not knowing what's going to happen is really the red flag, right?
Mhm.
It's like, okay, let me figure out, is this an important activity for me to do?
Yeah.
And if so, how can I do this safely?
Successfully. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me with concerts, I would never go to a concert with people who aren't clean or in recovery.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, now maybe it would be different, but
Yeah, in early recovery, that's just
it
You
would
know.
have been a recipe for disaster.
Yep.
I didn't know how to act at a concert without alcohol.
Yeah. 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 I get it, but at the same time, I don't get it because it's a concert.
Well, you know, when something is so tied to
Using.
To
Yeah,
using.
I suppose. Yeah. That's yeah.
so I used to go to a shit ton of concerts.
Yeah.
Just tons.
Yeah.
And there was always alcohol, right?
Mhm.
It was just always a thing.
Mhm.
And so that's really kind of the whole thing, right? Be around people who are healthy.
Now you
Healthy
just go
for
to
you.
concerts and you sit in the stands with me, and we have a great time at the concert because I'm old and I don't like general admission. I
Yeah,
pay for a
you're
seat.
old. Every time we want to go to a concert, I'm growing a human, so I can't stand.
Not every time.
I mean, the
It's
last
only the
two
second
times.
human.
Yeah. And this is only the second time you've wanted to go to a concert.
I mean, I am hitting up Jelly Roll again
Yeah.
for $85 a ticket this time.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, you know what happens when you get huge in the industry.
Yeah.
Ticket sales go up. But I mean, it's that's something that summer activities are very important. Activities just in general are important.
Mhm.
Because idle hands are devil's playground. If I'm just in essence isolating, or I'm just going through the motions, what am I really accomplishing?
Right. You're not really living life.
Yeah, it's just if like you talked about the I don't know, man. I don't know what's gonna happen. The what if, that's generally an extreme red flag is the what if, mentality. Like,
Uh-huh.
well, I know what is going to happen, is that I'm not going to drink or I'm not going to use.
Right.
So everything else is just meaningless, you
And
know?
it's okay to have the thoughts of what if somebody offers me something, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, but
you
it's
have to be resolute in what
yeah.
you are going to do about it.
Yeah, what if somebody asks me if I want to drink? Well, what is going to happen with that is that I'm going to say no,
Right.
you know?
It's as
Like,
simple as that.
yeah. It's just a complete statement. No,
Yeah.
you know? It's only one word's complete statement, there is.
Yeah.
No, you know? So, I mean, but summer activities, any activity, whether it's no matter what season it is having activities, is having hobbies, because it allows you to be a part of.
Right.
Like my sponsor, his main activity after work is playing games with my best friend in Colombia.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they do. Like that was one of my activities that I did, when I first got clean, is that I built a computer and I'd play computer games.
And Kevin's very good at getting obsessed with things.
Yeah, so
it went a little too far.
Yeah, that's part of my ADHD fucking dopamine trip. Ooh, yeah, let's play games till 4 o'clock in the morning when I work at
ADHD,
at 8.
addiction, all the things.
Same thing. But to where, like since I've gotten clean, I've had many different activities that I would do that I've found what works and what doesn't. Like playing video games all night long does not equate to being a good husband or father with this, when having little kids. So before any of that happened, I sold my computer to my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
because I seen how it was affecting my life. Because Kevin has an issue with doing things in moderation.
Crazy.
Weird, I know. But I at least have activities, to keep me busy so that I'm not just doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Just going through the motions is boring. Like I had somebody, that I was chatting with the other day, one of my participants, it was like, um, how do you deal with the monotonous, everyday, same shit, different day mentality? And I said, I deal with it because I get to. Like I would rather deal with the same shit, different day, than deal with the same shit, just a different month mentality I had when I was in active addiction, because it wasn't a day, it was like months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, shit, what? It's already July? I could have swore yesterday was February. Like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Like I get to deal with that. I get the opportunity to wake up every day and do the same thing over and over and over.
And there's a comfort in that.
Yeah, that isn't substance use.
Yeah. And it's kind of boring, but
Sometimes,
it's
but
not. Yes, Monday through Friday tends to be pretty similar, but there are things to do.
like tomorrow I'll be at the racetrack all day, getting ready since we had to
Crazy.
cancel our opener, so I'll be working on that. I was at the racetrack yesterday, like I find things that make me happy, that make me feel like I'm not just doing the same shit different day.
Right.
Which are activities.
Right.
Some people, their activities is coloring, reading books, woodworking, there's a plethora of different activities that one could do.
Mm-hmm.
It's whether or not we can do them in a way that isn't equating back to a mindset of using.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that is that comes easily for me.
Right.
Because I've gotten to a point that I've realized that no amount of using will ever make anything better.
Right.
As much as I used to think that, I have to have 3 more shots and I'll be able to run 7 tables in a row, like
Uh-huh.
I got to get that level, and then next thing you know, nobody can beat me.
Right.
Realizing once I got clean that they beat me all the time, is just that I couldn't remember that they were beating me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was had 12 more shots and not 3.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But some of those things are things that we have to find out for ourselves
yes, through trial and error.
in a safe way.
Yep. Yeah, and if you're alone and you get into a situation where you're like, oh, I don't know about this, you call somebody.
Or you leave.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing is you leave, and if you're having trouble leaving, then you call somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like your sponsor or somebody else that's in recovery or, something of that nature before it becomes, yeah, man, dude asked me if I wanted to drink and I didn't know what to say. Next thing you know, I woke up and I was hungover. I don't know what happened. Well,
Yeah.
I know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I got fucked up. Like that's what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple. Like there's nothing more to it. Is that you used which is, it's okay. What'd you learn from that?
Right.
Like that's what part of a huge part of recovery is making mistakes that you learn from so that they become experiences. Not continuously making those same mistakes because then nothing changes.
Right.
So, I mean, activities are a huge part of recovery.
Right.
So, if you ain't got no activities, find some activities to do with like-minded people.
Yeah, even as simple as like going to the farmer's market or
Yeah,
the
Go-
zoo.
go walk around the park, or I mean, there's many
Simple
activities
things.
that don't cost money.
Right. Just get out of the house.
Go
Do
to
something.
a camp out.
Yeah.
That was one of my main activities during the summer was hitting up camp outs,
Uh-huh.
recovery camp outs.
Yep.
Then you start hanging around those types of people, and next thing you know, they ask you if you want a service position, and next thing you know, you're the treasurer, and next thing you know, you're the treasurer of activities now, and yeah.
Next thing you know, it's been 7 years and still doing the same thing.
Yep, which is quite all right, like just holding service positions keeps you accountable, keeps you in that fellowship, like just keeps you a part of that world,
Mm-hmm.
the correct world, not the wrong world.
Yep.
So
Okay, maybe next time we will pick up with some other activities or I don't know. We'll see.
yeah, I guess we'll find out.
If anybody has any suggestions, let us know. Hit us up.
Give us a chat. As always, our Facebook page is Marco Minot. Our website is marcominot.org. If anybody's interested in services, they can always go to our website and book a time to meet with me, Jennifer, and find out more about our services. And if you want to know more about our services, check out our Facebook page, our website, or you can always message us, and we can fill you in on some more information.
How many times can Kevin say the same thing in a different way?
In a different way. Oh, I don't know. We'll find out maybe next week. Have a great day, everyone.